I was once convinced I would never find love again after my divorce, yet here I was 3 years later engaged to the most amazing woman I had ever met. Amanda was everything. Sarah was not honest, supportive, and genuinely in love with me. But my ex-wife seemed determined to destroy my second chance at happiness. She tracked down Amanda at her workplace, warning her to run while she could. What Sarah never expected was that her desperate attempts to sabotage my relationship would lead to the most satisfying moment of karma I have ever witnessed. Before I tell you how my ex-wife's attempt to ruin my happiness backfired in the most incredible way, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about life's unexpected twists of fate. Life was good before everything fell apart. I was a successful software engineer in Boston, climbing the corporate ladder at a respectable tech firm. At 35, I had what many would consider the American dream: a beautiful wife, a spacious home in the suburbs, and financial stability that allowed us to take luxurious vacations twice a year. Sarah and I met during our sophomore year of college. She was studying marketing while I pursued computer science. We became inseparable almost immediately, and everyone in our social circle saw us as the perfect couple. After graduation, we moved to Boston together, found jobs in our respective fields, and married after 2 years of building our careers. Our wedding was everything Sarah had dreamed of: 300 guests, a reception at an upscale hotel overlooking the harbor, and a 2-week honeymoon in Bali. For 8 years, our marriage seemed solid. We had our occasional disagreements, but nothing that threatened what we had built together. At least that was what I thought. Looking back, I can identify the subtle signs that something was changing. Sarah staying later at work, guarding her phone more closely, and becoming increasingly critical of almost everything I did. The first concrete indication came when I noticed a text message notification on her phone while she was in the shower. The preview showed a message from someone named David. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." Same place I knew a David from my company, but I convinced myself it must be someone else with the same name. After all, why would my wife be meeting my colleague secretly? 2 weeks later, I discovered the painful truth. Sarah had forgotten to log out of her email on our shared laptop. There they were, dozens of exchanges between her and David Thompson, the rising star in our marketing department. The emails contained explicit details about their 6-month affair, along with cruel comments about me and our marriage. When confronted, Sarah did not deny it. Instead, she told me our marriage had been dead for years and she had found someone who truly understood her. I learned that day that 8 years of memories meant nothing compared to the excitement of a new relationship. The woman I had built my life around had been living a double life. The divorce was as painful as the betrayal. Despite her infidelity being the cause of our split, Sarah hired an aggressive attorney who managed to secure her half of everything we owned. The house had to be sold, our savings divided, and I even had to give up my dog because Sarah knew how much he meant to me and demanded him in the settlement purely out of spite. As if the financial and emotional toll wasn't enough, Sarah began a systematic campaign to damage my reputation among our mutual friends. She spread stories about how I had been controlling and emotionally unavailable, painting herself as the victim who had no choice but to find comfort elsewhere. Many friends who had known us throughout our relationship chose to believe her version of events, and I found myself isolated during the time I needed support the most. The months following the divorce were the darkest of my life. I moved into a small apartment, threw myself into work, and avoided social gatherings. Depression became my constant companion, along with a newfound distrust of people. The idea of another relationship seemed impossible, a risk not worth taking. 2 years passed before a college friend convinced me to attend his wedding. That was where I met Amanda. She was the bride's cousin, a kindergarten teacher with a warm smile and kind eyes. We ended up talking for hours during the reception, and for the first time since my divorce, I felt a genuine connection with someone. Our relationship developed slowly. I was cautious, constantly fighting the urge to withdraw whenever vulnerability was required. Amanda was patient, understanding my need for time and space. She never pushed, never demanded more than I could give. Gradually, the walls I had built around my heart began to crumble. After a year of dating, I realized that Amanda had healed parts of me I thought were permanently broken. She showed me that trust could be rebuilt, that not everyone would betray me like Sarah had. On the anniversary of our first date, I took Amanda to her favorite restaurant, got down on one knee, and asked her to be my wife. Her tearful yes marked the beginning of what I believed would be my second and last chance at happiness. Little did I know that Sarah was about to re-enter my life, determined to destroy what Amanda and I had built together. The trouble started the day after I posted our engagement announcement on social media. A congratulatory text arrived from an unknown number, which I soon discovered belonged to Sarah. "So happy for you, John. I hope you've changed since our marriage. Your new fiancé deserves better than what I got." I deleted the message without responding, hoping Sarah's sudden interest was merely a momentary curiosity that would fade. I was wrong. 2 days later, Amanda mentioned running into a woman who claimed to know me. She said her name was Sarah. "Your ex-wife, right? She seemed really nice." My stomach dropped. I asked Amanda what they had talked about, trying to sound casual despite the anxiety building inside me. Apparently, Sarah had accidentally bumped into Amanda at the coffee shop near her school. She introduced herself, congratulated Amanda on our engagement, and suggested they should get together sometime to chat. The idea of my ex-wife and my fiancé becoming friends filled me with dread. Initially, I considered telling Amanda to stay away from Sarah, but I worried that might make me appear controlling or as if I had something to hide. Instead, I simply said that Sarah and I were not on good terms, and I would prefer if Amanda kept her distance. Amanda agreed, though she seemed puzzled by my obvious discomfort. For a few weeks, everything was quiet. Then came the dinner party at my friend Michael's house. Michael was one of the few friends who had remained neutral during the divorce. When we arrived, Sarah was there, sitting comfortably on the couch as if she belonged. She claimed Michael had invited her, though I later learned she had invited herself after seeing his post about the gathering. Throughout the evening, Sarah charmed everyone with her wit and seemingly innocent stories about our marriage. "Remember when John threw that fit because I talked to my male colleague at the company party? He always had such a jealous streak," she said, with a laugh fabricating an incident that never happened. "Or when he monitored all our bank accounts because he thought I spent too much on groceries." Each story contained just enough truth to seem plausible, twisted to make me look possessive and angry. I sat in stunned silence, watching, as Amanda's expression shifted from confusion to concern. Every time I tried to correct Sarah's version of events, she would laugh and say, "John always tries to rewrite history. It is so cute how he believes his own stories." The drive home was tense. Amanda asked careful questions about Sarah's claims, which I answered honestly. Amanda seemed to believe me, but a seed of doubt had been planted. That seed grew as Sarah escalated her campaign against me. She began appearing everywhere at restaurants, where Amanda and I were dining at the mall, when we were shopping, even at a concert we attended. Each coincidental meeting included another damaging anecdote or subtle warning to Amanda. The worst incident occurred when Sarah called Amanda late one night, claiming she felt morally obligated to warn her about my anger issues and how I had supposedly thrown a plate across the room during an argument. The plate throwing never happened, but Sarah described it so vividly that even I almost believed it. Amanda's questions became more frequent and tinged with suspicion. "Have you ever been violent, John?" she asked one night. "Sarah showed me texts where you threatened her." I explained that no such texts existed, that Sarah must have fabricated them. Amanda nodded, but I could see the uncertainty in her eyes. My frustration grew with each new lie Sarah spread. I suggested blocking her number, avoiding places she frequented, even considering a restraining order, though I knew that would be difficult to obtain without clear threats. Amanda was becoming increasingly stressed, caught between her love for me and the persistent warnings from a woman who claimed to have my best interests at heart. The situation came to a head when Sarah cornered Amanda outside her school. A colleague of Amanda's later told me that Sarah had been crying, appearing genuinely concerned as she told Amanda to run while she could, before she ended up broken and discarded like Sarah had been. That night, Amanda came home visibly shaken, asking if we could take some time to think about our relationship. My world seemed to be crumbling all over again. Sarah was succeeding in her mission to destroy my happiness, and there seemed to be nothing I could do to stop her. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning. Amanda forwarded it to me with a simple message: "We need to talk about this." The email from Sarah was lengthy, detailing every supposed red flag in my character and behavior. According to Sarah, I was financially irresponsible, emotionally manipulative, and pathologically jealous. She claimed I had hidden debt gambling problems and a history of controlling my partners. Reading through the litany of lies made me physically ill. Not because the accusations were true, but because I could see how meticulously Sarah had constructed her narrative. She mixed just enough truth with the falsehoods to make everything believable. Yes, I had once expressed concern when Amanda spent the weekend at a co-ed bachelor party, but Sarah transformed that into a claim that I forbid Amanda from having male friends. When Amanda came home that evening, her eyes were red from crying. She sat across from me at our kitchen table and said the words I had been dreading: "I think we should postpone the wedding." She assured me she was not breaking up with me, but she needed time to sort through her feelings and concerns. The doubt in her voice was unmistakable. I felt as though I was drowning. Everything I had rebuilt after Sarah destroyed our marriage was now being threatened again by the same person. The unfairness of it all left me speechless, and for the first time since my divorce, I cried in front of another person. Amanda held me her own tears, falling both of us victims of a malice neither of us fully understood. That night I received a call from my old friend Taylor, one of the few who had seen through Sarah's lies during our divorce. He had attended a dinner where Sarah was present, bragging about how she was saving my new fiancé from making the same mistake she had. Taylor also revealed something that finally explained Sarah's renewed interest in my life: her relationship with Thomas, a wealthy businessman she had begun dating shortly after our divorce was falling apart. According to mutual acquaintances, Thomas had discovered Sarah's infidelity and was ending their engagement. Everything suddenly made sense. Sarah was not concerned about Amanda's well-being. She was bitter about her own failed relationship and could not stand to see me happy when her life was imploding. Her jealousy and resentment had driven her to try to destroy what Amanda and I had built. The next morning I called several friends who had distanced themselves after the divorce. I needed to understand the full extent of Sarah's campaign against me. What I discovered was worse than I had imagined. For years, Sarah had been systematically poisoning people against me, ensuring that any new relationship I formed would be tainted by her lies. The final blow came when Amanda's best friend Lauren called. She confessed that Sarah had contacted her weeks ago, sharing concerns about me and asking Lauren to help convince Amanda to leave me. The worst lie of all, Sarah had told Lauren and Amanda that I had been the one who cheated in our marriage, completely reversing the truth of her affair with David. Something inside me snapped. I had been passive during my divorce, accepting the role of the abandoned husband with quiet dignity. I had been passive again as Sarah spread her poison among our friends, but I would not be passive about losing Amanda. This time I would fight back. I drove to Sarah's workplace, a marketing agency downtown, and waited until she emerged for lunch. When she saw me, her surprise quickly turned to smugness. "Come to beg me to stop telling the truth about you?" she asked. "The truth," I replied, my voice steadier than I expected. "You would not recognize the truth if it slapped you in the face, Sarah." What followed was the most heated argument we had ever had, right there on a busy Boston sidewalk. Sarah eventually dropped all pretense, admitting she could not stand seeing me happy with some kindergarten teacher while her own life was falling apart. "Why should you get another chance when I am losing everything?" she demanded. What Sarah did not notice in her rage was that I had my phone recording our entire conversation. Nor did she notice the tall, distinguished-looking man who had stopped a few yards away, listening to every word. Only when she had finished her tirade, admitting to every lie she had told about me, did I say, "Sarah, you might want to turn around." Thomas, her fiancé, stood there, his expression a mixture of disgust and sadness. "So this is who you really are," he said quietly before walking away, ignoring Sarah's desperate calls. That evening I played the recording for Amanda. I watched as shock, then understanding, and finally anger crossed her face as she listened to Sarah admit to fabricating stories and deliberately trying to sabotage our relationship. When the recording ended, Amanda wrapped her arms around me, apologizing through tears for ever doubting me. "I should have trusted you," she repeated. "I am so sorry." "You had no reason to doubt someone who seemed so sincere in her concern," I assured her. "Sarah has always been convincing." That is how she managed to hide her affair for 6 months. Rather than letting the incident drive us apart, Amanda and I decided to use it as an opportunity to strengthen our relationship. We agreed on complete transparency moving forward, promising to address any concerns directly with each other rather than allowing outside influences to create doubt. We also decided that hiding from Sarah would only give her more power over us. Instead, we would actively reclaim our narrative among friends and family. I reached out to mutual acquaintances who had been misled by Sarah, sharing the recording when necessary to clear my name. Many were shocked and apologetic, having believed Sarah's version of events for years. As for our wedding plans, instead of postponing, we decided to accelerate them. Amanda suggested moving the date up by 2 months, a symbolic rejection of Sarah's attempt to derail our happiness. We also made plans to leave Boston after the wedding. I had received a job offer from a tech company in Seattle months earlier, but had been hesitant to accept because of Amanda's ties to the local school system. Now the opportunity for a fresh start appealed to both of us. While we were rebuilding and planning our future, Sarah's life continued to unravel. Thomas had broken off their engagement immediately after witnessing her true nature. Mutual friends reported that she was growing increasingly desperate, calling Thomas constantly and showing up at his home and office. Her behavior became so erratic that her company placed her on leave, concerned about her mental state and the potential impact on clients. Amanda and I tried to focus on our future rather than Sarah's downward spiral, but news of her continued to reach us. She had been asked to resign from her position after an angry confrontation with a colleague. She had been seen drunk at a bar frequented by our old friend group, loudly disparaging both Thomas and me to anyone who would listen. A week before our wedding, Sarah made one final attempt to disrupt our happiness. She somehow obtained the address of our wedding venue and appeared during the reception visibly intoxicated and demanding to speak to me. The security team we had hired specifically because I feared such an incident escorted her out as she shouted accusations and insults. As I watched her being led away, I felt an unexpected emotion: pity. Sarah had once been an intelligent, ambitious woman with a bright future. Now she had become consumed by bitterness and jealousy, destroying her own life in an attempt to ruin mine. I could have felt satisfaction seeing her brought so low, but instead I chose to let go of my anger. Amanda squeezed my hand, understanding without words what I was feeling. "Let her go," Amanda whispered. "We have a future to build." 1 year later, Amanda and I were thriving in Seattle. My new position came with increased responsibility and compensation, and Amanda had found a teaching job at an innovative elementary school that valued her creative approach to education. We bought a modest house with a view of Puget Sound and spent our weekends exploring the Pacific Northwest. News from Boston reached us occasionally through old friends. Sarah had hit rock bottom after losing her job. Unable to afford her luxury apartment, she had moved in with her parents in the suburbs, a situation she had always dreaded. Her reputation in professional circles was damaged beyond repair, and she struggled to find new employment in her field. During a brief visit to Boston for a friend's wedding, Amanda and I stopped at our old favorite coffee shop. As I waited in line, I spotted a familiar figure at a corner table: Sarah. She was almost unrecognizable, her once meticulously maintained appearance now haggard and tired. When she looked up and saw me, her eyes widened in surprise, then filled with shame. I hesitated, then decided to approach her. "Hello, Sarah," I said simply. "John," she replied, her voice lacking the confidence I remembered. "I heard you moved to Seattle. Is Amanda here too?" I nodded toward the door where Amanda was just entering. Sarah swallowed hard, then asked if they could join her. To my surprise, Amanda agreed without hesitation. What followed was one of the strangest conversations of my life. Sarah apologized tearfully for her behavior, explaining that she had been in therapy for the past 8 months, addressing her narcissistic tendencies and vindictive behavior patterns. She admitted that seeing me happy with Amanda while her relationship with Thomas fell apart had triggered her worst instincts. I wanted someone to hurt as much as I was hurting, she confessed. It was never really about you, John. It was about me not being able to accept that you had moved on and found happiness. There was a sincerity in her voice I had never heard before, a vulnerability that the old Sarah would never have shown. Amanda, always more forgiving than me, reached across the table and briefly touched Sarah's hand. "We all make mistakes," Amanda said. "What matters is that you are trying to make amends." As we left the coffee shop, I experienced a mixture of emotion, satisfaction that karma had indeed come full circle, yet also a strange sense of closure. Sarah had tried to destroy my chance at happiness and had instead destroyed herself. There was a profound lesson there about the nature of hatred and resentment. 3 months after our encounter with Sarah, Amanda told me she was pregnant. The joy that filled me that day made all the pain of the past seem distant and unimportant. When our daughter Lily was born, she brought a light into our lives that overshadowed any darkness from our past. Sarah sent a simple congratulatory text when she heard about Lily's birth, along with a promise to respect our privacy moving forward. True to her word, she faded from our lives, eventually moving to Colorado for a fresh start of her own. Life has a way of teaching us lessons through the most unexpected circumstances. My ex-wife's attempt to sabotage my relationship with Amanda ultimately led us to build a stronger bond than we might have otherwise. The challenges we faced early in our relationship prepared us for the real tests of marriage and parenthood. I have learned that true love is not about grand gestures or perfect compatibility. It is about choosing each other every day, especially when trust is tested. It is about building something together that can withstand the storms that inevitably come. So, have you ever had someone try to sabotage your happiness only to have it backfire on them? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to me, and I will continue sharing these life experiences that remind us all that karma has a way of settling the score. Thank you for listening, and remember, the best revenge is not just living well, it is living authentically.